Hey, country music fans out there. This is Leigh with Coda Country. And today our special guest on the Coda Country Chats podcast is Kara Cole. How are you today, Kara?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. We've been trying to make this work for a couple weeks, and I'm happy to be doing it.
Yeah. Well, and you reached out to me a couple weeks back, and I was super busy because I was starting to get started with the school year, and so I'm glad that this finally worked out. Especially since you just had a new single released back on August the 18th. Waiting for You is your latest release there. If the listeners out there haven't ever heard of Kara Cole, make sure you check her out on Spotify. Tell me about the writing process, recording process, anything about that for that specific single that you had there.
So, Waiting on You is one of the 6 songs on this EP I have coming out in September, and 5 of the songs are kind of around this sort of breakup I went through, and this relationship I was in and out of for 6 years. And Waiting on You is like the anthematic song of like, okay, I've realized now, once I am not dealing with that, my energy isn't focused there, I'm seeing actually on the other side that I can get all these things done if I stop waiting on you, and like, and I'm better for it. And I think, we've all been there. The writing, it's not like such a mysterious song. It's pretty cliche and simple, but it was to the point, and that's what I wanted it to be. I wanted these songs to be catchy and have a good melody, and the writing to just get to the point.
Right. And to be a little relatable, I think. Whenever I first heard Waiting for You, it was very much like a song that, as someone who's been through a breakup like that, it kind of made sense to me, so I'm sure the listener appreciates that too. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. And you just talked about the 6-song EP that is self-titled, Kara Cole. Yeah. And I know there have been some other projects that you've dropped throughout this year. Are there other projects that you've released that are also on that EP too, like Mary Frances or anything like that?
So I started releasing singles in February. Mary Frances was the first single. That's kind of what started the whole recording process. And when someone reached out to me, a couple reached out to me on Instagram from Charlotte Entertainment Avenue. They are in Nashville. Mm-hmm. It's Charlotte Avenue Entertainment. Sorry, I was like, did I just say that wrong? So anyhow, they reached out to me and we talked about my grandma's song. I wrote that song about my grandma. She had Alzheimer's. I was one of her primary caretakers. I lived in her house. I stayed living in her house. She passed away in the living room because we brought her home from the hospital, and like the last 3 days of her life were in the living room, and it was just a overwhelming, excruciatingly painful but beautiful experience. I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be watching my most best friend, my platonic soulmate, take her last breath. And so when they came and told me, or when they approached me and they were like, we love what you're doing, we love this song, let's shoot a video, I was like, say less. I didn't care if they were real. I didn't care what the issue was. I was like, what do you need? I got it. And so that was the start of this project. And so the other songs I had started writing and kind of like were finalizing throughout the recording of Mary Frances were all hyper-focused around that relationship I was talking about. And I mean, I wrote 1 million songs over the last 6 years specifically focused on that relationship I was in, because everybody wants to sing about their heartbreak and love and devastation, and I don't write a lot of happy songs. I don't write a lot of fast songs, and it is what it is. So I'm excited because I have new material now that I want to start recording in the next couple months. That's more focused on my life. And like I have a couple more songs that are kind of tell a story about my grandma. She grew up in Eastern Kentucky, and
Yeah.
she had 13 siblings. And like I just have been going back, and I also I'm in recovery from drugs and alcohol, and so I've never written about those experiences, and that
Yeah.
seems to be what the material as of lately is coming out, is like, okay, let's touch on this now. So I think it's like you get presented things when you're ready to go through them, and I wasn't
Yeah.
really ready to write about that, and now
Hmm.
it's like, okay, now I can do it.
Almost like a little bit of a, I don't want to say like a healing portion
Yeah,
of your songwriting, but more so, a little bit that like
yeah,
vulnerability peeking through and yeah. Oh wow. All of that sounds so deep and meaningful, and yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait to
yeah.
hear more, especially from the EP. I'm pretty excited to hear the full collection that you've created so far. Well, okay, so and you just talked a little bit about Mary Frances, and I guess knowing your relationship with her, and I guess how did she and your other family members, other influences on your life kind of get you into songwriting, get you into making music for the good of the world? Yeah.
Well, I spent a lot of my weekends growing up in at my grandma's house, and my grandpa um, and my great uncles, lots of my family members play music, bluegrass, and old Southern gospel music. I grew up listening to them play music every weekend, all night long, and I'm like, oh gosh, I want to do that. I didn't really
Yeah.
necessarily know like that's that is what I want to do until my parents got me a guitar when I was probably in like fifth grade, fourth or fifth grade, and
Hmm.
I just wrote poems. I was writing poems. I remember the first song I thought I was writing, but it was about a blue sky. It was in. I just remember it, and I was thinking, oh, what am I doing? But then, like, years to come, you're still writing poems, and then I never really messed with the guitar because I didn't really know how to play it, and I didn't really take lessons. But my uncle played. He still plays. He's so good, and I he started to teach me a few things, and so then I started to like
Yeah.
pick out things that sounded well on the guitar because I don't really know the chords most of the time that I'm playing. I'm self-taught, and
Cool.
so and I'm not that good. I'm not a guitar. There are musicians who are guitar players, and I just play guitar to write songs, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and I'm fine with that.
Functionally. Yeah, like
Yeah,
a functional guitar player. Yeah, it makes sense to me. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So that was just kind of like what started it all, really, is like growing up
Hmm.
around that, being around music. And then once I started to write, and once I realized, like, oh, I can I can get my feelings out because I feel my feelings really big. They're gigantic. And that was another reason I was so heavy into addiction, is because I couldn't handle my feelings, feeling them so intensely all the time.
Hmm.
And so when you're experiencing that, you want to escape from it. And once I realized, like, okay, well, pen and paper and guitar and singing, that can kind of get the job done. And I wasn't aware, like
Yeah.
how, um, you know, substantially helpful it could be. So,
Yeah.
so
Well, and I think now knowing a little bit more about the background of how you write, it makes sense, like knowing and hearing the songs that you do write, and I don't know, it makes that whole thing kind of connect for me, which is really great. So, okay, tell me, what were you talked about, like Southern gospel, what other musical influences did you have when you were growing up? What else did you listen to?
oh gosh, my parents, they had card parties all the time. I mean, my dad, I grew up on like Fleetwood Mac, Peter Frampton, Queen, like Hall and Oates, all Elton
Yeah.
John, like the best of the best, Billie Holiday, Janis Joplin. Like I was obsessed
Hmm.
with Janis Joplin for a long time. Like I was
Yeah.
like, give it up, Kara. You're not Janis. Like it's over for you, babe. So, and I mean, I just love everything about her, and I was so fascinated with like
Hmm.
that world, like the Woodstock era, and just like Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan, just everything. I was just so like enamored by,
Hmm.
oh gosh, I want to do that. Like, and I want to get on stage and scream my emotions too. That's what it feels like. I want to scream how I'm feeling.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I think like once you see other people kind of chiming in and singing along with you too, it's like your emotions are emotions that they also kind of feel.
Right.
Like you can feel the connection with other people that way too. That's pretty cool. I never thought
Yep.
about it like that. So, okay. Um if you were to go on a tour, because we'll talk a little bit more about like some of your live shows that you have coming up too. But I wanted to ask you this before I forgot. If you were to go on a tour with like um any artist of today, what would your like ideal slate look like of touring musicians that you'd like to be seen with?
Oh, I would love to be Brandy Carlisle's support. I would love to. I mean, that's my
Oh.
leading lady right now. I mean, she's been my number one for some years, and I would love to open for her,
Oh yeah.
just talk to her, pick her brain. Um,
Hmm.
I really love Joseph. I don't know. I love Adele. I love
Hmm.
Damian
Hmm.
Rice. Like of today's artists, like I don't know. I would have to say my number one would be Brandy Carlisle for sure. Outside of
Yeah.
that, I
Yeah.
mean, we just opened for Ben Harper here in Indianapolis um, a few weeks back, and that was a very
Wow.
surreal experience. He was so kind. I would
Hmm.
definitely open for Ben anytime. And he was so kind to
Aw.
me, and he just thanked me for being willing to open for him, and like their crowd was super
Because
receptive.
that was like a last minute thing,
Oh
right?
yeah, I got the call on Monday at 3 o'clock,
Yeah.
and I opened for him Tuesday, and I was like, oh my, I'm
Wow.
stressed. And it didn't give me a whole lot of time to panic. So, but it was wonderful.
To get it done, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so cool though. Ben Harper is probably an artist I need to spend a little bit more time working on, like listening to.
yeah.
But but yeah, going back to Brandy Carlisle, I feel like your styles would complement each other really well on a tour set like that.
That's
So
what I
yeah,
thought.
sign me up for tickets to that show.
Somebody,
I would be
somebody
there.
let her
That
know.
sounds amazing. That's right. We put it into the atmosphere. So now someone's going to pick that up and be like, yeah, that's a great pairing. Let's put them together.
Yeah. Here, hey, Brandy, it's just me.
And that could be the title of the tour. It's just me
Yes.
tour
Hey, it's just me.
2024-25.
Yeah.
I love that idea. Oh man. Okay, so let's while we're on the topic of playing live, you gave me like an insight into like a mini tour that you have coming up. If you would share with the listeners a little bit more about where you'll be in the next coming months.
So as of right now, I'm doing like Thursday through Sunday runs, or like Wednesday through Saturdays. Like this week, I'm
Yeah.
in Chicago. I'm in French Lick, Indiana. I'm back in Chicago later this month. I'm in. I'm playing the Fall for Greenville Festival in South Carolina in October. I'm opening for
Cool.
someone at the Rambling House in Ohio in October. I'm back in Chicago in October. I'm in New York City in November. So it's just like these little pockets, like a couple, 2 or 3 days, I go and hit a different city, or I try to get 2 cities in within those couple days. All my shows are updated on my
Yeah.
website, and I'm hoping after
Perfect.
the release of the EP. So I'm releasing the EP on September 29th, and I'm going to have the EP release party on October 20th. Then I'd like to tour the songs and start playing the new songs out, even though I don't have them recorded yet.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like you're always trying to figure out the right move, how to go about it, what makes sense logistically, and also I typically play most of my shows with me and my guitar player, but I have the option to play solo, duo, trio, or full band, and it's like, what do they want? Does it make sense financially? But you don't really have a choice because you got to get out there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thanks so much for sharing that with me and with the listeners today. Everybody out there, check out Kara Cole on social media and karacole.net. And this is Leigh with Coda Country, and you heard it on Coda Country Chats. We'll see you around.